It actually works now. Yes, gloves in chat. This is absolutely a reference. Can you guys confirm that the music isn't too loud and that my voice is alright? I have no idea what the hell is going on with OBS. The camera wasn't working, the audio devices are not the correct one. No idea what the fuck is going on. Okay. Let me check if all the audio levels are the same for the various scenes. I guess you can still hear the music in this scene. If you can confirm that. Okay, so we're gonna do a bit of trickery. We're gonna remove this. On the output. I have no idea why. Like, everything is fucked. Okay, we can finally start. We have everything set up correctly now. Also, the title of the stream, I have no idea if it's the correct one. Should be Sho HHKB. But for whatever reason, it isn't updating on my OBS, so it is what it is. Okay. So, after waiting a little bit, I finally received the replacement unit. As you guys remember, the original unit that I bought was pretty scuffed. So I asked Sho if he was able to replace it, and he agreed. And I already mentioned to him what I'm gonna do with the scuffed up unit, and I guess it's gonna be announced formally on the Conical Discord. I think in like a week or two maximum. So here we have the replacement. This time is all good. I already checked it out. For those of you that didn't actually saw the other unit, it's not really important. The unboxing experience is basically the same. This time though, I asked Sho to leave the plate out of the assembly, put all the screws into the bag. That way nothing could go around the case in shipping. So just a quick walkthrough again. There's no real difference apart from the non-scuffs. So plate, still metal, still black coated. It uses M2.5, I guess, black screws instead of the M2. So it should be a tighter fit and a more secure one. We still have all the additional fit inserts and a freaking ton of rubber fit. So we only need 2 of the black ones on the bottom, and then on the adjustable fit we need the 3M1 that are simple silicone ones. So the case is in pristine condition this time around. All the chamfers are correctly machined, even the one on the left here, where we noticed some problems on the other unit. Here is correctly machined. On the back, we have again pristine condition. It seems like there is a bit of bending. Hello, can you focus? There we go. A little bit of bending on the anodization, but it's just on camera. I have direct light at an angle on this area, so it does some weird stuff with the colors. On the bottom, everything is fine. We had some issues here on the other unit as well, but this time is perfect. So, what is the plan for this build? So, we're gonna be using powerful sliders with, I think they are the OEM silencing rings, but I gotta check because I'm pretty sure I opened that unit. No, OEM rings, so 0.5 millimeter rings, 45 gram domes, and for the caps we're gonna be using the stamped snow caps from the round 2 of the HHKB, so the one with the god awful centered legends. I'm trying to find either a first release stamped unit, so the left aligned one to be used with this unit, or alternatively I can dye one of the blank sets that I have in red so that it kind of matches the vibe of the build. For now, one of the 2 sets that I have is on the Type S Snow, where the caps come from. The plan for the other unit that I have on order, the full mirror stainless steel, is to actually have the all white blanks for that, because I think it will match quite well since it's basically mirror. Yeah, but I don't have those. I'm not really that much into dyeing keycaps, so either I have to find them, buy them, or I'm basically limited to what I have around. So let me catch up on chat. Anodized plate. To be honest, it's not really that visible anyway. Having it in red will actually look very interesting. I've seen someone sell a real force on Jano, all white with the plate painted, and it's kind of weird because they didn't actually paint the plate, but instead they stripped the original painting and then they coated it with the Tamiya primer for like Gunpla and those kind of stuff, and he actually never finished the painting, so the actual color that you see, the kind of off-white one, is the color of the primer, which is super weird because it looked like it was actually painted. Yeah, also it really depends on how you paint, where you paint, and which paint you use. Because I used an automotive paint to coat my S23 numpad plate in red, but it was way too thick and it started to chip off. The ideal thing would be to try to get my hands on the metal keycaps. Because imagine this with the red keycaps. Red keycaps with the engraved green letters. Let's see if I have a picture of that. But it's super expensive. Like it's very expensive. I think for the unstamped one, it's like 2,000 RMB. Let me check. So 2,000. Oh yeah. Let's swap the view. I'm so used to the conversions now that I have those already made in the search bar. So 2,000 RMB in euro is like 260. For the stamped one, he was asking for 210, so 270. In freedom unit, so 288, so 290 for the stamped one, and 275 for the unstamped one. I'm not gonna search the conversion for the Canadian rubles because that is not a real currency. Sorry about that. You need to cry about it. Exactly. Yeah. Canada is like the fedora of the US. Okay, so what we actually need to do here is only to kind of bait out of this pile the parts for the stabilized keys that we're gonna be lubing. And I found, like at random, this 6U wire, and it's surprisingly straight. Like it's probably the straightest 6U wire that I've had. And initially I was thinking of using the KLC set wire with the OEM parts. But then I just found parts scattered around, so I actually ended up cleaning them with like alcohol and other stuff that I had around. Okay, so this, like this, and we can start to first pop in the 1U housings. Okay, so we are gonna be putting the higher insert on the bottom. Reason being, my OCD will kick in if I don't do that. And also, if I ever want to run the broader keycaps, you can kinda chuck them even though it's not correctly oriented, but I prefer keeping them all in the same direction and side, so that even if I'm like forcing them and the home row is actually shifted a little bit, I still have the equal shifting on all the keys. We're gonna be using OEM 45 gram domes, springs, OEM springs, gold one though, not the silver rubbish. Yeah, the Leopold that I bought a while back was like first released unsilenced, and it had silver springs from the factory, and they were loud, like very loud. Okay, if you wanna try like OEM parts, I suggest to try and get a Snow White ANSI stamped HHKB, because I've mentioned quite a few times that the second release of these Snow HHKBs had significantly different feeling of the domes, even though they are still advertised as 45 grams, but they were significantly more defined in the tactility. I think that it's not really a defining factor of HHKB, it's more of a real force thing. Because that also, I've mentioned it quite a few times, that if you use, like, you buy an HHKB hybrid off of Amazon, made in like 5 days ago. Oh, someone is raiding. Thank you, Spaceballs, the username for the raid. Let's see if I can do a shout out.
Hello
because
there.
Of course the bot isn't working again. /SO.
Hello
Shout
there.
out? Yes, that works. Let's find the name. There we go. Copy. Paste. Does it work? Yes, it worked. Welcome, Raiders. I don't stream enough. I don't stream enough to have mods. Also, it's more of a skill issue of me not having actual commands running. Like, the bot is here, but it's not working. Yeah, so as I was saying, like, Usually, what I always said was if you buy a new HHKB normal one, like a beige one, um, and you put the same 45-gram domes into a real force, you would have a more defined tactility because of the assembly. Like, assembly really changes the tactility of the domes. In the case of these no releases, second round, and by second round I mean not the first one that was limited in quantity, but I mean the one that you can still buy right now. So, for example, this one is a second round stamped. Yeah, the one with the centered legends, but also the unstamped one. Basically, if it doesn't come with the 25th anniversary keycap here, it's guaranteed to be a second round. And the second round has way more tactile domes than any HHKB, like new one that you can buy. And I noticed with this specific unit that I got, so a stamped ANSI second round, the domes are even more tactile than the blank JIS that I got at like release date. It's super weird. It's a small difference, but you can feel it. If you start to like compare them too much, you start to like get the placebo and say, "Oh no, those are the same." I'm imagining stuff, but when you use it, you can feel it. I don't know if I am lucky with the tactility on those HHKBs, but it's crazy. Does the plastic change the feel? Yes. First of all, because it's an integrated plate, so you inherently have a different feel. The material and how the vibration propagates is different than in a metal assembly. But the weird thing is, again, since the HHKB is the same, like the hybrid internally is the same and the material is the same, from the like snow editions and the normal ones, the fact that the changing tactility and feel is so distinct, and I'm not the only one saying it, definitely means that something is going on with the domes. And it's not even a question of like molds and etc., because the shape is the same, and if anything, apart from the like fucked up units that had the inconsistency in the dome material thickness, they've been pretty much all the same. Yeah, no plate gasket because I don't have those. That's the main reason. And also I usually count on the compression of the flat part of the dome sheet to actually fix them in place. Yeah, it's quite interesting. And it's also very interesting because this is quite new stuff. Because these no releases are relatively new. So once you start to deep dive into like aging and like various releases and 30 grams and 45 and 55, 45 grams advertised from Sony boards that in reality feel like 65. Like once you start to deep dive into it, you are gonna get pretty involved. No, I'm not bleeding. I'm not bleeding. I have yet to cut myself. Weird. So we are gonna be lubing, as always, only the stabilized keys. First, because I don't have lube that actually works well with sliders, and I don't want to buy it. And second, because I kinda like that weird, it's not even a scratchiness, because it's more of a feeling of the actual plastic of the slider touching the ridge on the housing, but also, especially on HHKBs, I've noticed, sometimes the sound is not only given by the interaction between the slider, the cylinder of the slider and the opening, but also by the silencing rings. That sometimes they tend to move a little bit, not too much because the tolerances are usually pretty good, but sometimes I can feel those. Okay. So we can start to prop the housings in. We're gonna be changing gloves. Okay. I think it is. It is true. And I'm pretty confident that for real force, I can identify when the change happened. At some point, the dome sheet, even the full board wide ones, at some point the texture was more smooth. Despite of being variable or 30 grams. And at some point they swapped it for basically the usual one, like the kind of rough one, even though it's like still quite smooth. You can recognize where which one is which, because the smoother one is actually more reflective. So it kind of seems like it's actually reflective in a way. I'm not really sure it's because of new modes. I'm not really sure. This is where a syringe would come in handy. With the syringe you can insert the lobe from the top. When I stand here, I have to insert it from the bottom. And it's not really the most comfortable thing to do. So what we're gonna do now is clean off the bottom of the slider from any lube so that it only rests on the inside. And that is because even if we overlube a little bit, that is not really an issue, at least for my taste. But if we overlube and we spill the lube outside, where the slider basically touches anything else apart the wire, you'll basically hear that kind of like sound of two wet things touching each other and then being pulled apart. And at times I thought it was the dome, but then I realized that it was actually the bottom of the slider that was sipping lube on the dome and was making that weird ass noise. Yeah, I'm Italian. Born, raised, and I'm still here in this place, unfortunately. You know what we can do though? Since the 2U have a little bit of dome gaskets or whatever they're called, because I have a few, but I'm not sure they'll actually be enough for the entire board. So and I can't count, so 60. There are 8 per sheet, so 16. Bruh, I can't do math anymore. So for the Neverest, I used 3 sheets. Here I have 3. Oh yeah, we have plenty. Man, I'm dumb. I could have used the gaskets. Fuck. I mean, I could try to ask. There's really no connection though between us, and also like now that the drop is like bought out by, I think it was like Corsair or someone along those lines. I don't know, like, first of all, what their plan is, and also, like, I'll not be able to give any feedback, like real feedback, other than, oh yeah, it looks good, or it doesn't look good, you know. Like, beyond that, I'm not really a keycap kind of guy. One set that I'm interested in is the Space Cadet MT3, that I know he was doing some testing right before the acquisition. So even for that, I have no idea if the acquisition actually caused any delays or reorganization of the schedule. So it is what it is. See, if I remember, last time I checked on that project, Dropped gave the green light to do prototypes, but I'm not really sure if it was talking about like prototypes in terms of getting the colors sorted out first, and then see if like some novelties and stuff for the kitting were needed. So it is what it is. Also, the Hyper 7 EC edition didn't happen in August as I was planning to. Kind of for the best, because then I saw the R4 for the Hyper 7, the MX. I asked for the case designs to check if like a drop-in kit was a possibility. And as of now, I only received literally a sectioned view of the case with 2 measurements. So I have other stuff to do in the meantime. The demand for the kit is gonna be like 5 people, so there wasn't really an incentive for the start of the development. Yeah, I'm trying to, like, ideally for like some years, I don't think I'll have any issues with like being basically anywhere, given that I am working. So if it is in Asia, if it is in America, like, everything is fine. I sent out the application for the DV visa, so I have like very low hopes that I am actually like raffled for that. So We'll see. Okay, so let's see. If I have enough of these. And if I don't have enough of these, I'll just skip over the housings that I feel that are okay, so there's no overdue. I should ask Keeps to make gaskets, actually. That way you guys can order silencing rings, then the silencing mats when those came out, all in the same place. The plate thickness for this unit is very precise. Very nice. I can say that because when I insert the housing, I clearly hear the clips on the top and the bottom engaging. And then they engage in a clear and soft way, and by soft I mean that they're not hard sounding. So, very nice. Yes, we swapped the gloves because I was starting to do the lobing, but then I realized that I had the plate thingy here. I forgot the name. The dampeners, plate dampeners, whatever they're called. To be honest, I think I did the math wrong. Those don't seem like an enough amount. At worst, yeah, the gaskets. At worst, we're gonna be opening up real quick the Neverest, and we're gonna be stealing some gaskets.
Hello there.
I can't read. Thank you, Niku. I hope I'm saying the name correctly for the follow. Probably because the text-to-speech was broken, as well as the bot. The bot is still dead. And also I noticed that quite a few times when I thought that the music was actually playing, it wasn't indeed playing. Oh yeah, we definitely don't have enough gaskets. How the hell did I math this out? Okay, so what we're gonna do is use this one first of all for the random 1U that we have around. And we need to actually cut it. Okay, here's one. Here's two. Then 3 and 4 for the outermost housings. Then we'll need 2 more separate ones, 5 more separate ones. There we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do for the rest is hijack the 2U. So the way we're gonna do it is, since the 2U is smaller. Hello, Bacho. We are doing some big brain time math to figure out the gasket situation, because I did the math wrong, and the only solution to this is either open up the Neverest and steal the gaskets from it, or just try to hijack the 2U gaskets. Realistically, I'm not gonna be using those anyway, so might as well. Okay, so this goes perfectly here, so I'm gonna finish off this one. There we go. BDZ came in today. Nice. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this in half. Why? Because the 2U is smaller. The opening is smaller, so it wouldn't actually fit. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna be trying to align it so that it's squished in the housing. Okay, we got one. And it is actually working. Nice. So let's try the other one. Oh, and I almost forgot. Go check out on my server the Google form for those of you that have Type B, because the forum for the EC kits for Type B is now live. So if you want to have the EC kit for Type B, which will include plate in stainless steel, screws, PCB, go check out the link in the Discord. I also posted it on Instagram. It should be still live, that story. If not, you can join the Sandkeys Discord server, and over there you'll have updates on the production and basically all the news. There we go. last one U. Perfect. I think we can probably do that for the stabilize key, for the stabilizer. Oh yes, we can definitely do that. There we go. Done. Okay, we can go back to looping. Finally. Okay, so now we do again the tedious job of trying to fill the slider without doing too much of a mess outside of it.
Hello there.
Thank you. I think it is ballet. I can't really read. The preview of the stream is like super small.
Hello there.
Thank you, Dirty, for the follow. Okay. Now we clean again the bottom. There we go. Yeah, I'm using the Razer pink one. It was on sale on Amazon for like 25 bucks at the time, so I was like, good price. I only care that it works, so should be good. And also the same consideration of the slider needing to be clean is valid for the top two, because the top on the OEM housings is closed and it's flat. So if you have lube there, it's pretty much a guarantee of hearing sounds all over the place. On a modded housing for like MX purposes, it's a little bit less problematic. There's a little bit more of a leeway there, but for others, there's really no alternative. So another big addition of lube, where we snap the wire in place. Trying to not overdo it in the middle, because there is where the dome is gonna rest. And again, we don't want the squishy
Hello
sound. Thank you, Flying Udon, for the follow. So now we're gonna dip the sides, even though we already have lube where the tip of the wire is gonna be. And I do that simply because then it's easier to spread it out on the rest of the wire. Okay. So now we insert the wire into the housing, sorry, the slider. Okay. And we can snap it in place. There we go. Now we move to the other one and do the same. So dip. I have lube on the glove now. Problem solved. There we go. A thing that I feel could help some new people to Topper that maybe come from MX only, especially on lubing the wires, is where in MX you tend to lube everything and the risk is to overlube. On EC, some people think that you need a ton of lube, but they tend to place it basically everywhere, apart from where it's actually needed. So you'll see like a bazillion of lube in the most various places. When instead, yes, you need a decent amount of lube, mainly to be sure that even if you miss some spots, with enough cycles, it will cycle through. But yeah, you need like a lot of lube in certain places. Like not everything needs to be lubed. You can go a bit like weird in some cases. For example, my idea of pre-lubing the housing too, it's not really needed or anything, and also pre-lubing the slider, again, not really needed there. It's more of I've found that it's better. Yeah, I never lubed one use. First of all, because I don't have a lube that would actually play well in any way. Like if I use 1U lubing with 205 G2, it's gonna be quite the pain to even only actuate. I've tried once and it felt like when you have misaligned domes and the actuation is like, it's weird. Like you feel the tactility, but you know it's sus. So what I'm gonna do now is pre-lube the rails of this stabilizer, this spacebar stabilizer, and I'll also pre-fill with a ton of lube the place where the wire will go. I want to try it. I'm not sure I even have a oven that I can use for that, but it doesn't really matter because I can't really import it for some reason. Like apart from the cost of like having it shipped and everything being a little bit too high for what I do. Like the cost is a bit too high just for an experiment, you know. Like maybe I end up liking it one day when I actually try it properly, and then I'll only do that, you know. It's more of an economic cost. Like I'm the guy that uses 205 G2 simply because it is what is available from what is it called? It it is what it is available from Keep Mat. So yeah, but I'm a lazy boy, you know. I'm a lazy boy that doesn't actually do orders for lube. So I only order lube 205G2 when I order rings. So I am that lazy. So now I'm gonna feel where the wire will actually connect. The most amount of lube that I've seen is, I don't remember if it was like a kilo or 5 kilos of Crytox. I remember when Glarshes was doing the giant keyboard project, and for some reason, I mean the memes and why not, he decided to actually lube all the big ass NK switches. It was insane. We ended up using like 3 spools of solder, and it was using like almost a paintbrush, like a painter's brush, to actually spread out all the lube. It was actually quite insane. Yeah, extremely special use case. Hello, good evening, or good day, good night, good afternoon, time zone, am I right? That weird mental concept, kinda like sleeping. Okay, I think we have enough lube, maybe too much. But, you know, whatever. Yeah, it's a decent amount, you know? It's a decent amount. If we were in Japan, probably this would have been a non-safe for work stream. And we would be alongside idols and other weird and saucy stuff. There we go. There we go. Does it actually cycle? Hell yeah. Yeah, probably that's a bit too much. So in this case, I'm gonna just squish it down a little bit. Take the brush, clean it, then take it and spread it around and under like this. In this case, we don't really care, at least on my the way I do it. I don't really care that it's too overloaded to the point that it does some squishy sound, because I have a band-aid on the PCB to dampen the sound, and it will actually absorb any excess lube. So unless we go like seriously insane with the lube by basically soaking the band-aid with it, we're gonna be good. Okay, so I'm gonna go wash my hands real quick, and then we'll be back with the domes and the springs. And we are back. Yeah, I mean, even the one that I have, like, it's not really super absorbing. It's just that little bit that helps you when you need it, but it's nothing really crazy. So we're gonna swap out boxes to raise everything. And we're gonna be using Desky's ones simply because they're smaller and I can use 4 of them. There we go. Done. Okay. So again, for the domes, 45 gram from a real force R2. I was thinking about using 30 grams from the GX1, as I mentioned on Discord, but then I thought that that wasn't really what I was looking for, especially with all this dampening that I'm adding. There are a couple of domes that are kind of oily for some reason. Okay. We are one dome away. No, I'm cleaning them. This is a microfiber cloth and some alcohol. Because I noticed that some of the domes had like little coagulated residues of lube. So what I was doing is basically rubbing them onto it so they come off clean. Also, I've noticed that the percentage of the PCBs that ended up having domes of any kind sticking increased over the time. So it seems like a combination of the actual finish on the PCB along with for how long and how compressed the assembly was actually helps have the PCB and domes stick together even on the aftermarket ones. On Real Force we have the best results, while on HHKB there's not really an appreciable increase on the occurrence of that, simply because I'm not opening them up as frequently. So there's a combination of swapping them not frequently, so not swapping the PCB out, and also the fact that I don't have that many samples. Yeah, okay. So the old ones, like the very, very old ones, so the ones where the PCB looked way more deep green than usual, that is actually a factual thing. So the clear coating that they used, not only for Real Force boards, but also for other type of PCBs, it was like a weird formula that based on temperature and other factors, it would become kinda sticky, but not sticky in a way that you could like stick stuff to it. It was simply an interaction between materials. There's no build command, Hawk. Sorry, the bot is still dead. We are building the Sho HG in the special red edition with special red bottom, back piece, and I'm not sure if at the end of the day it ended up being the default option, but I asked for my unit to have a brushed top face, because I don't really like how the sandblasted one looked in any shape or form, like even the stainless steel one. Let's see. No, I don't loop the springs. I barely loop the housings, so. Also, another coating that I've seen being used on Real Force, especially on the RGB, is some kind of like conformal coating. Then on my first round Real Force RGB was kind of nasty because it kind of started to like peel off, and it was like that the first time that I opened the board. And it's quite interesting because on the areas where the domes are, that coating is absent. So what it tells me is they for sure have some way to seal the dome sheet and the PCB together so that it doesn't move quite as much. I'm still convinced that the way they assemble the boards is basically as we do, because it's easier. But I'm sure that there is some kind of coating that it then sticks to the dome sheet. And again, it's not really that thick of a coating or anything super visible, because otherwise you would feel it on the bottom of the dome sheet. But it's there, like you can see it and you can feel it, so. Alright, see you soon, Jason. Have a good one. So now what we're doing is checking that all the domes and springs are aligned and leveled. Okay, looks like it. So now we can start to drop the PCB. First, I wanna grab the screws. I think there are way more than we actually need. Because they seem quite a lot. Not gonna lie. Probably worth like 2 builds. Okay. So, sorry for the head, but I gotta be sure that I'm dropping this properly. Okay, so this is for sure. For sure lined up. I'm gonna start to make it bite to the thread just a little bit so that I have a pivot. Then I'm gonna do the opposite. And again do the same, then the other corner, so that if anything drops, the majority of the alignment is still preserved. Indeed, Jason, big businessman. So just to be sure, I'm gonna first drop the screws in place. And again, I'm not sure, I mean, I know why, but I think at a certain point we can start to like do it in a better way. There's an extra screw hole that on the OEM PCB is available, but that on aftermarket cases is not used, mainly because it interferes with A2U housing, and it's this one. And it interferes with the 2U housing by just a little bit, like 1 millimeter. But I think it's a very critical screw to add on an aftermarket case, simply because the compression here might be better with an additional screw. Thank you Zero Enigma for the follow. So for example, on my what was it? On my plateau for the HG, I've actually cut a corner of the 2U housing so that I am guaranteed to have the highest amount of compression possible. So now we are gonna have to actually screw and secure everything in place without overdoing it too much, otherwise we might strip the thread. We shouldn't, since this is a stainless steel plate, so to really fuck up the thread on a stainless steel plate, you need to like go banana at it. So yeah, that makes the assembly so much easier in so many ways. Okay, just to be sure, I'm gonna check that all the screws are pretty much the same level of sticking out from the plate. It's looking quite good. And actually, I gotta say, these screws are the perfect measure. Because they are basically flush with the plate. And this is a testament to both the plate that I've already said is perfect in terms of thickness, but also the screws are well done. They're Phillips head screw, not my favorite. I'm a big Torx guy. The M2 that I use usually are Torx. I know they are not really the most common bit, especially when the rest of the housing uses hex. So I'm just gonna clean the plate on the edges because I see there's some markings and stuff. Might not be able to clean all of it, but it's better than nothing, so. Okay, I'm gonna go wash my hands once again so that I don't have lube residues from this procedure, and then we are gonna be completing the assembly. And we are back. So I was thinking of actually putting the caps on right now, so that later we have a reference for the alignment with the top case. There isn't really any room for play because it's top mount with screws, but still. At least the edge ones. Okay, so there's no weird sound of like that wet sound that I was mentioning, so I guess we have done a pretty good job on isolating the loop. What is gonna be a killer for the sound here of the spacebar, and I mean it in a bad way, is gonna be the spring. for the same reason that I mentioned in the previous stream. Actually, no, it wasn't the previous stream. It was on the Type B stream, where I basically mentioned that the diameter of the springs sometimes is completely off, and it makes for okay, this is a very nice spacebar. Hell yeah. So basically what I was saying is at times the diameter of the spacebar spring is not wide enough to go on around the ridges on the housing, and that creates issues because then you have a spring that is not properly seated, and every time you compress it, by compression it will start to push down, and it will create a very fucked up experience. Like you will hear tick 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 noises everywhere that usually you would correlate with the springs, like the dome and springs and the PCB, but instead it's that spring there that makes all the fucking noises of the planet. I don't really... I didn't actually like too much the domes that I got a while back. The pink and the blue ones. The 67, I think it was, grams or like something like that. They were like god awful. The tactility was there in the way that you had weight, but it was like only that, weight and nothing more. So I think I'm gonna use the case in the default angle. So what we'll do now is also install the rubber fits. So I'm keeping the back piece with my hand, because after you remove the screws, there's nothing else holding it in place, and we have the two alignment pins. Okay. This time the piece is very well done. No marks, no nothing. And even the metal of the case is spotless. So let's take the feet. There we go. We also have to take the plate screws. We have 8 screws. You don't need another board, like, quite honestly. Or if you really want this because it's a novelty piece and you don't plan to like be a collector, or you don't need to have that many boards, to be honest, you can skip most of the projects that are around. Not because they don't deserve it, simply because things are expensive. Jason, wasn't you supposed to go to a meeting? Are you ditching work for the good word of Thok and Robert Cup? Gracefully short meeting. So it was one of those Oh, we need to schedule our weekly meeting that it only ends with, oh yeah, great job team. We are doing great. Let's meet us all back next week and check in the progress. That kind of meeting? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so let's already put the fit here, just because. And again, precise opening for these fits. Very nice. There we go. Now we have another set of screw, 1 and 2, and other 2 screws here that hold the bottom piece and the top case together. Please note that where the screws are pre-assembled can vary. Some screws are not in the same place as the previous board that I received. So for example, the plate, as a primary example, isn't even pre-installed, and that is because I asked Sho to pack it separately. Yeah, I mean, it's the only way to make it not stand out. I mean, you have plenty of feet. Like, you only need 2 of them that are, like, removable. And I have this much. Also, they are pretty standard fits. They are the 3M ones that you can buy basically everywhere. Yeah, if they were friction fit, that would have been great, but the issue with that is, I mean, it's not really an issue, it's more of a design thing. Probably the thickness here was too little to do a friction fit, and additional height to make it go deeper for the friction fit would have caused some issues with the height. I mean, I'm a big fan of friction fit, and I'm a big James fit enjoyer. Okay, so the inside looks quite good. Let's take a look at the bottom piece. Could definitely have a little bit of cleaning. I guess it's like dust and stuff going around. Okay, we can now install the controller. Yeah, the red is very good and it's very uniform. Like I can't see any bending, any color shifting. The matching is like on point. It might not seem like it because of different height from the light source and, you know, the usual stuff when doing color matching, but the actual matching of the colors is very good. I mean, it kind of helps that the color on the outside is only visible on the back piece, and on the bottom piece it's only a showpiece when you pick it up. But still. So I'm gonna pre-screw in a little bit the daughterboard so that I can then place it snug with the openings and align them properly. Okay. Let's check. Actually, let's use the biggest cable that I can remove to do the test. Nice fit. Okay. And okay. So I'm planning to run a micro SD card reader inside of the case. So what I will do is place it like this and push it so that it stays there forever. After that, I'll check where the JST is. So it makes sense to connect this like this. If I can find my tweezers. There they are. Actually, that was, I mean, it actually works because I have a keyboard daughterboard basically that has Thunderbolt in it, which is basically PCIe. So I only need to expose the actual like protocol and the connector, and that's. Is there enough power? Yes, because I actually use Thunderbolt cables for it. Like not this one, but another controller that I did had a Thunderbolt. It was basically a Thunderbolt hub in a keyboard, and I used the keyboard case as a heatsink. So there was a recess in the actual case where I basically chugged in a full tube of Noctua thermal paste, and that was the pit of the heat, basically. Yeah, that was pure Thunderbolt. I mean, it could negotiate a normal USB 2 because I used a Mux. So there's basically a state indicator, like a flag state for that particular Thunderbolt controller, that if the Thunderbolt protocol wasn't initiated properly, it would raise a flag and create an event on a GPIO port. of the controller. So I basically used the event of no negotiation found or negotiation failed to the switching pin of a USB multiplexer that basically diverted back to normal USB. Because I had a chip that was capable of doing Thunderbolt and fallback to USB 2, but the issue was that the chip was like $100, so it wasn't really economically viable for me to do it. Again, for the plate too, even though the holes are like mandatory and we have plenty of them, I'm just gonna screw it in so that it starts to have friction, and then check that the alignment is actually correct, because then we can play a little bit with the hole tolerances in the plate opening, and we can check that it actually aligns properly. Yeah, the alignment is pretty much spot on, and it looks very fancy. Yeah, Thunderbolt is extremely expensive, especially because when I did it, there was still only like readily available Thunderbolt 3, so not even like the new USB form approved standard of the USB 4, which again, like Thunderbolt 4 is nothing more than USB 4 or whatever they want to call it. So the options were pretty limited. Okay. So yeah, it's basically cheaper because at the end of the day now it's part of the like proper spec for USB. So the USB form, and it's not a sassy implementation. I mean, it wasn't sassy. It's only that for whatever reason, like those who actually participated in the R&D of the original Thunderbolt, they ended up not using it because they didn't deem the use case worth the cost and the investment. Like back in the day, you could count the amount of boards that actually had Thunderbolt 3 support basically on one hand, apart from Mac. So I'm trying to not squish the cost internally, the cable, but it's damn thick. Like, damn boy, he's thick. Oh, we might have a winner. There we go. Nice. Now we need the boxes. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna first plug in this. Yeah, I mean, okay, one thing that is pretty funny is when they announced the iPhone and they said, hey, it's gonna support USB 3 speeds. I've seen so many people complain that the included cable in the box wasn't USB 3 compatible. It was only USB 2. And I was like, yes and no. Because to actually have USB 3, you need way more conductors. And to do that, the cable would be more thick, so less flexible. And it doesn't really make sense to include a charging cable, what is essentially a charging cable, that is thicker and less flexible compared to all the rest. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not user friendly. The use of braided cable, as an example, for me, especially the Apple one, they are garbage in my opinion. They are garbage because the braiding on the outside introduces like tension in the cable itself that wasn't present nearly as much in the like rubberized ones. Like on the MacBook, for example, if you start to twist it a little bit more than the cable likes, and I'm not saying like making like knots and etc. Like just placing it in a pattern that the braiding doesn't like, then it will start to form creases, and it's super annoying. Man, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I have plenty of feet that I can use to replace it. And also, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna also put on the back piece. Watch this. Watch this. I'm gonna put on the back piece too. Yes, I collect all the feet, but especially James' feet. Yeah, because why not? You know? Like, if it's fucked, I can use that as an excuse to fix any small issues that the build might have. So let's say it works, but I have a weird ticking noise. Like a very minimal one that I can hear only when I hit the enter key or like any other key slightly different than normal, or when I hit the key in the wrong spot because of bad habits. I'm just gonna cope and let it be. But if it doesn't work, you can take that as an excuse to fix it. You know? This is big copium time. Yeah, I've seen the OGR build. I didn't saw the stream live. Someone sent me the pictures and I was like, oh my fucking god, what the hell is going on there? Like that was an experience, man. I'm gonna move some stuff. Yeah, I mean, as always with Simon. We're watching because of the entertainment and everything that comes with it. and of course also for like the insight of many years of being in the hobby. Okay, this is so heavy and it doesn't even have a weight. What the hell? Okay, first feel. The plate is very solid with the rest of the case, because when I press down the keycaps, I don't hear any hollowness or like weird sound. I think it's stainless steel. Let me check. Where is the Sho server? Where is the Sho? Yeah, I'm missing the N, I just realized. It's missing. It's always the N. I think it's stainless steel. Because this is way too hard to be damn. It's way too hard to be alu. Yeah, I don't mind the sound of it being loud. Okay, as always, the 1.5U mods are like god fucking garbage on sliders for some fucking reason. So, just for the sake of my copium, I'm gonna use spacers from a real force so that even if they are crooked, I don't hear the god garbage sound of them. I can't be bothered. Yeah, those need the dampening. So what we're gonna do is do this, do this, and it's actually quite funny because up until Bogus started to like quite vividly complain about this, I never even realized it. So here, what are we gonna do? One. We're gonna check that it is the lower ones though, like the less thick ones. Those are all the thick as fuck versions. So we have two that are lower. Don't worry about it, Jason. Don't worry about it. Those are magical things called copium. Yeah, as always, as soon as you remove them, they start to make some fucking weird noise for no reason. No, only the 1.5U. And it happened to me basically with every single board that I have. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on with them. But what I know is that I'm tired of doing this shit. Yeah, but I really think that this is not a case flaw, because even on this HHKB, when I got it, it was perfect apart from the ticking. I took it apart and it started to bottom out basically every fucking wear. And I'm using every fucking wear, like the bad incorrect form of saying it in the most scuffed English possible, to give the idea of how fucking scuffed the mods situation is on the HHKB. Like, it doesn't make fucking sense. And again, I only started to notice it when Bogus started to say, hey, this is weird. What the fuck is going on? And I was like, huh, let me check. No, mine is fine. Then I opened it, I closed it, and I was like, whoa, now I hear it too. What is going on here? You know? Hey, maybe we found a virus for keyboards. The ticking 19. It spreads like crazy across borders without even touching. Okay. Oh. Imagine a spacebar without ticking. Imagine. Oh my god. Be right back, and we're gonna be doing firmware and then testing. And we are back. So first, a quick look at the board. Let me crank up all the lights. Then I'm gonna fix the ISO and all of that. Okay. Okay, the keycaps are actually not that bad. The center legend is ass. I want my left-centered legend back, please. HHKB, stop making cringe MX and bring back good legends, please. We are not huge, we are just small hobby. We want our caps back. Thank you. So this is the top. This is the front. Oh whoa, the white balance is completely fucked up. Okay, like this. This is the side. I don't know if the pattern is fucked up on stream for compression and stuff. So for example, the rainbow effect is not really visible. I'm not really sure though that the Kensington lock is actually usable, you know? Because there's no slotting on the top piece. That opening that you see is simply the difference. Yeah, I gotta check, but whoa. Hello? Okay, if you see, that is the thickness of the inner piece. Okay? You'll see that the red is the inner piece. And if you angle it, there's really not that much space, and I'm not sure that it's up to spec with the Kensington lock requirements. And here you can see it even better. Like, I'm not confident that you can actually fit the Kensington lock there. If you want to make it like functional, I guess you can like mark where it is and then hand CNC a little bit of material out of this side. Not too much though, because then you might end up going into the thread here. So this is the back view. Very clean. The USB-C is on the bottom of the opening simply because Sho had to widen the opening to accommodate both the god awful USB Mini and USB-C. And this is the back. My camera doesn't even know where to pick the focus. Very nice. I don't think it fits on a keyboard mat. Or at least not fully. So yeah, no. Okay, so the actual feet are precisely on the edge. So you can kinda... Oh. Spacebar is perfect for my liking. I like this. I really like this. Oh, hell yeah. Now that I finally got on point, what needs to be lubed, what not, how much, and all of that. Oh god, it's so good. There we go. The OEM ones, so 0.5. There we go. Remove the HHKB. We drink a little bit of coffee to... There we go. To fuel us back. Okay, so we're gonna be using for the first time in month the super duper cable. No wonder you need to sleep. Yes. You got the point. Okay, so sorry for the weird sounds that might be picked up. Okay. So here, let's actually open the desktop. Can I open VIA, please? Type on the other keyboard in the meantime. Okay. Live. So, we plug in the board. We have something popping up, and that is the internal USB drive that I named Sho HG. And we have 128 gigabytes. So that is working. I think that we can check if it's working or not. So I don't know why it comes up with the Google Drive logo. Is there a key combo to disable the internal USB? No. You have it and you cope having it. So I don't even know if I have any device that I can plug in. I mean, what I can do is connect to find something that actually like shows stuff. Yeah, I mean, if you bring this to work, then you're working for yourself. Or you are at a place that you can afford more than one keyboard. Okay, you know what? For the memes, we have the 3D printed ISO. Okay. We're gonna be connecting that. Okay. And I think it's vial enabled. Oh, it actually works. So, I mean, we still want to do the calibration as always. So we plug this in, so powers up, and it shows up. Matrix tester. Nice. I mean, you call out yourself, man. You have more HHKBs than, like, your place has more HHKB than the entire country. Okay, so let's keep this one connected. And for good measure, let's connect, if I have another USB cable, USB A to USB C, we're gonna be using the best case one. Okay, it powers because we have a light. So let's. I'm gonna delete my notifications. So. Okay, so I plugged my phone in. Hello? Is this cable even good? I think I have a doo-doo cable. Oh yeah, it's a doo-doo cable. So, turn off, connect. Yeah, doo-doo cable confirmed. Doo-doo cable confirmed, GG guys. Yeah, don't worry about it. No, IT department, this is definitely not a keylogger. What do you mean? Yeah, it's a doo-doo cable. On the other side it works too, so. Actually, for maximum inception, I can have 2 ISO. Because why not? I am surrounded by ISO. There we go. This one is green, purple, whatever. And yeah, so we have 2 ISOs, so that was a defective cable. Nice. The white one, this one that wasn't working, was the desk keys one. And this one, yes, is a drop cable. It is all the way back from my plank keyboard. Now we have RGB ISO surrounding our magnificent board. And actually, we are gonna be taking a picture and post it in Simon Court, because why not? Turn off the light, the RGB is visible, turn off the light here too, there we go. There we go. Picture taken, our meme duty is fulfilled. We're gonna be sending this picture. Okay, meme sent. So now we're gonna actually fix stuff. First of all, we are gonna be doing, so RGB is off. We're gonna be doing the calibration. Okay. We're gonna key test. Perfect. Perfect. We are Gucci. So okay, so the actuation is actually at the point of the dome collapsing. So I think I'm gonna leave it like this as the default. So yeah, we can now remove the memes. Yes, this is the fixed unit, and it's spotless. It's perfect. This is quite the build. So it's not super heavy. I mean, it's dense, especially because all the weight is given by the alu on the bottom piece, and the bottom piece is very heavy and dense because it is a big chunk on the bottom. But if you recall how internally it was machined, it was basically an angled piece like this, and the first like 2/3 is very, very thin. Then it starts to add up mass here. Add to that, you can compensate a little bit with the blockers, but it's very minimal. Like, the blocker doesn't add anything. You though add quite a bit with this piece and the back piece. It's not too much back heavy, like it's not like it will immediately drop as if it would with like a brass bottom piece. It's definitely lighter feeling than an Aldius, for example, that is a way bigger board, simply because there is not a big chunk of brass in it, but it has the right weight in my opinion. It feels solid. There's nothing creaking and moving. The finish on this unit, that is the replacement one, is spotless. The ano is very well done. I'm very surprised by the consistency of the ano, especially because the back piece is literally just a flat piece, and if the ano is done poorly, it's gonna show up in many ways. And the color matching between the two is spotless. Like, it's literally the same. I'm very, very impressed. Not to say that, like, being a design off of China directly, it automatically means that things are bad. There are a lot of people that, for whatever reason, start to like bash out and criticize, or don't even consider projects because they are made by China, from China, but this is not the case. It's very well done. I'm curious to see how the full mirror stainless steel is gonna look. I hope that it doesn't have any defects, and I'm praying for the best possible no scratches and no markings that I can get. On the question of how is Via versus Vial for Topre? Okay, so at the level of actual implementation of remap and stuff, they're the same. It's only a matter of which one you enable when you flash the firmware. The issue though is that where on a MX board either the key works or doesn't work, here you have threshold that you can change, and the actual detection of the key can change. And it can change in a multiple of ways. So, for example, a key might not work because there's no spring, or because the spring is misaligned, or the spring is always compressed, or multitude of other factors. And the way you distinguish them is not so straightforward in firmware as in real life. So if a dome is misaligned, you can feel it. But for the board, that reads out as a key being pressed or a higher value than the rest of the board in a normal state. At the same time though, if for example a spring is misaligned, that might be read the same way, but we know it's a different thing. The board doesn't know it because it cannot distinguish in real life stuff other than something is wrong, you need to fix it. So the way people do calibration and stuff is have both a software and onboard pre-made profiles. So for example, the Real Force PCB, the OEM one, has in the Avro cluster the pre-selectable values. And for that is good because it's mass produced on a factory that can flash the calibration for that specific board. In the scope of aftermarket, I need to keep into account a multitude of factors. Is the PCB dry? Is the PCB lubed? Which springs are you using? Because even springs like OEM gold springs, OEM silver, OEM KLC, Deskies, Volcano springs, they change the detection profile. And by detection profile, I mean if at 1mm you have 500 as a reading with one spring, for the other it might be 600 or 400. Bye bye, Jason. Thank you for hanging out, and I will post pictures and other stuff. And if you want, there's the void afterwards. So in a closed environment, you can more tightly control how you detect stuff. Here, I can't. There's an assumption that the user might mess up, or that the hardware that he got doesn't end up having the same detection pattern. So for example, another example might be open top domes. Using the same springs, the initial detection on an open top spring, on an open top dome, is different than a closed top. Because if you imagine how the conical spring is like this. On a closed top, the top of the spring rests on the top, basically. But on an open dome, it sticks beyond that. So in order to have the same positioning once it's compressed to an X amount of travel, on a closed dome, on a closed top dome and an open top dome, they reach it at different levels. The travel is the same, but the perceived value is different because you lose that little bit of spring in not having the top. So because of that, I can't really only rely on key codes and stuff on the keyboard, because let's say none of the values that I set for the actuation is reached by any of the keys. The board is unusable. So you need to either reflash it with custom firmware, or you need to come to me and ask for it, which was basically what happened up until like 6 months ago. So then I realized, okay, I need to make a software that can change the board even if the board is unusable. So if I have a detection value of 900 but all the keys reach 500, this board is unusable. Like, I cannot type on it, but the board actually works. So a way to mitigate it is to tell the board what it needs to do. And this is where VIA is the only option to have all of these features. In VIA you can implement them, but it's a tedious job. On VIA is so much easier. So for example, in the EC tools, what I have now is the actuation mode. So APC, which is the actuation point change, where it's a board-wide single fixed point for actuation and release. So you can select the values and then you can apply them. Compared to other stuff in VIA, so for example the brightness, when you change the brightness it will change on the fly the values. On the EC tools, I've determined that having a confirmation button is better, because otherwise the board will take too much time to update the values, doing all the recalculation to remap the values. Sorry? Okay. If you directly apply the changes as soon as you move the slider, the time taken by the board to do math functions for remap, ideal values to in real life values, it takes way longer. And it might happen that if you move the slider like from here to here, usually people are used to immediate changes. So as soon as you move it, you close VIA. But actually the board isn't actually ready, and it doesn't have the latest value. So now the behavior is you set the values and then you apply them, so that the recalculations and etc. happens only once when you are done. So we have APC, we have a rapid trigger. And rapid trigger, I'm not doing the weird as fuck distinction that Wooding and the others make between rapid trigger and continuous rapid trigger, because they're the same thing. One is when you are at no keys being pressed, and as soon as you press it, it starts to do rapid trigger. And the other is it starts to do a rapid trigger after a certain point. So after 2mm, you do rapid trigger, and when you reach again the 2mm, it stops to do rapid trigger. Here I do both in one go. If you have the initial dead zone offset near the beginning of the slider, it acts as a continuous rapid trigger. So as soon as you start to press, it will go into rapid trigger. If you place it here, it means that the left side here is the no key being pressed. This is the bottom out. So no travel, no actuation, no actuation, no actuation. Here you begin to do rapid trigger. So here you can do up and down, up and down, up and down. As soon as you cross over here, it's closed. Like, it doesn't actuate anymore. The actuation sensitivity and release, those in voting software and others are set internally so that you can mitigate the hysteresis of the sensors, because the sensors vary, and there's a little bit of jitter even if the key is in a fixed position. So this gives a small buffer from the previous position up and down, so that if it goes over that previous position by that amount, then it actually counts as I'm actually continuing to pressing down the key, or I'm releasing the key, instead of, oh, it's the jitter. Like, we don't want involuntary deactuation or actuations because there's noise, okay? So this mitigates the noise. I have preset values that are kind of okay. You can play with it. I suggest to not go to the extreme of any type of slider. On the APC, the release should always be less than the actuation, because otherwise it will, like, as soon as you press it, it will lock the key because there's no release. For the calibration, at boot, this is an important thing. At boot, the board checks for the base readings. If you plug in the board with any key being pressed, that value will be read as the top-up key reading position. So to mitigate that, I've included a new button called noise floor calibration, so that if you realize that the keys are not working even after the bottoming calibration, then it means that probably you plugged in the board having one key being pressed. So if you click this, that should solve it. The bottoming calibration instead serves the purpose of gathering the actual bottom out reading of the key, so that you can remap the ideal scale from no key being pressed being 0 to a key is bottoming out being 1023 to whatever bass noise there is up until the actual bottom out reading here. So whatever value you choose here, it gets remapped for each individual key to its own individual travel readings, so that if I set half travel, it's half travel for all the keys. So half the key travel is like 2 millimeters. If I set 2 millimeters, all the keys will actuate at 2 millimeters, regardless of what the reading is at 2 millimeters. So this is why VIA is better than VL, because this is more easily integratable than on what is it called? Than VL. So another thing that you can do is you can see what is stored on the board. So if I connect to any web HID or HID terminals, and you click show calibration data, and you disconnect, you'll see that we have a reading of the matrix for the noise floor. So in the case of the keys being 0, that means that is a ghost position in the matrix. So those keys doesn't actually exist. The bottom out readings are the maximum readings we've reached for each key when I was doing all the key presses. So you'll see that some keys have a lower bottom out. At this point, what we do is, okay, my actuation point is set to the ideal scale from 0 to 1023 to 550. So in the case of this key, for example, it starts from 108 and it ends to 1022. So I remapped that 550 to 599 because that is the remapping from the ideal scale to the real scale. Same goes for the release and the rapid trigger dead zones. And if you do the noise calibration, let's clear this. If I click this, it will say noise floor data acquired, and it will recalculate all the thresholds so that you don't have to do the bottoming calibration again. And all of this is stored on board. So when I change one of the sliders here, like this, and I click save, so this is now the position. The board is unplugged, I re-plug it in. You'll see that the value is persistent now. And if you monitor the board, you'll see actually the values change. So this is the value that I'm setting right now. Okay, when I click new thresholds applied and saved, so it basically tells you what it's doing. Okay, and when I actually type, it tells you key being pressed and released, the row and mesh and column position, not the physical one but the electrical one, and then the value of the key press and the release. And this is how you can see the APC at work. The value might be a little bit skewed from the remapped one because of how the print function is called, not in sync with the actual call for the key to be pressed. So there's some variation, but it's just to demonstrate that it's actually working. The rapid trigger is actually quite interesting, and it also tells you which mode you're in once you change it. It's quite interesting because if I move the rapid trigger like here and I click apply, you'll see that for a while the key is not activating because I'm not reaching this threshold. Okay, then at a certain point it starts to spam key press and the values are increasing because I'm going down with the key. Now I release, I go down again, and I can jitter a little bit. So this key release, key pressed is because I am in the rapid trigger zone. Yeah, I mean the Pro 2 and the EC60 were put out as open source simply because I wanted to like get the word spread that I was working on this. The license allows it. I've seen some people like saying that I was salty because people are selling those two designs off on AliExpress or whatever. That was a misrepresentation of what the actual argument was. I wasn't complaining about them selling them because it's in their right. I chose the MIT license for that reason. But at the same time, because I am one of the probably 3 people that actually work on ECPCBs, and probably the only one that releases stuff on basically on a weekly basis. I have so many boards published and around that if a project is manufactured by someone else and it's basically one of my open source designs, either people that know my work directly or that doesn't know it and then do some basic research, they're gonna think that whatever is up there is made by me or is like sold by them on my behalf. And not that there is anything wrong with it, it's simply like how things are, because again, there aren't many people doing this. But the issue is that if they make changes, such as adding caps lock LEDs and adding some pads, like I have no way to know how they did it. In a sense of, have they reworked the matrix? Have they applied some changes to the firmware? So people would come to me in my DM saying, hey, I bought this off of AliExpress. This isn't working. This isn't actuating. Like, my issue was that without a proper separation and clarification that the project was based off of the open source stuff, but it was produced and modified and ran by the seller, I would have my DMs flooded with support requests for a thing that I didn't work on. So what I end up doing was DMing the seller and asking him, hey, like, this is the situation. People are DMing me thinking that this is my design. I told them that it's based off of mine, but since there are changes, like, I cannot do support for you. And even if you gave me your files, like, I'm not here to do your support. So if you can add like a credit note saying this is a derivative project, then people would understand it better how the situation is. That was the whole situation. Like, they are technically required, and they are required also to give credit to the original source. The MIT license allows for a bunch of stuff, but it gives also the limit of having to credit the original creator. So someone else complained when, like, they speculated that I was complaining about the fact that they removed my logo and the WADA logo, for example, on the Pro 2 PCB. That was not the point. Like, actually, if you don't put my name on it, but you credit me on the web page, that is better, because if then someone ends up with that PCB on their hand and they see my name, whatever is written on the web page is nothing for them. So in that case, it was totally correct. All I asked was like a credit and a note saying it wasn't me selling through them the boards. That is basically the whole situation. I've seen some people like saying the most random stuff, that I was salty and I shouldn't be because the license literally says it, and yeah, I know I chose the license. Otherwise, I wouldn't have chosen the MIT license. Probably, yes. I'm not sure how or when I'm gonna open source the rest of the PCBs, especially because the idea of open sourcing the PCBs initially was that people with the know-how, they could order their own PCBs, and the idea of running my own group buys on the server was to give it a chance to people that didn't want to order them themselves to order through me, and I would handle all the production, shipping, and all of that. But now it has come to the point that the orders were way more than I expected. I'm still processing the last few orders. But now that I'm doing PCB design full-time with my own company, and I can't really handle it properly, and also I would have to open another bat code because I do consulting technically for the PCB designs. For the actual selling, the round 2 was a private to private transaction. And now it would configure as a business to private thing. So I'm going through vendors. So I think that the open source of those projects will be pretty much down the line, simply because going with vendors, the availability will be much higher, and it will be way easier for people um, to actually like have availability. Like they can just order it. I'm planning to have a Southeast Asia vendor that already sells PCBs, their own PCBs. Then for Europe and North America, I'm in talks with FK, as you guys probably saw in the announcement for Ursa, because they have warehouses in both places. That way we can sort a number of items there and here in the EU, and shipping will be much cheaper than through me as of now. Round 2 is almost all shipped. I need to consolidate the Australian package because I needed to wait for some extra PCBs that some of the Australian folks ordered in addition to the round 2, so I had to wait for those to arrive. Yeah, availability will be probably initially like not super great. Like I can buy 60 of them. We will have like, okay, Southeast Asia, we have like 30 people. 30 people wanting it. We can order like 50 or 40, like whatever it is. But yeah, like as long as we can keep them running out, it's gonna be probably a better option than is the current one. Bye bye. Have a good rest. Actually, I was looking at your order yesterday when I was packing, and I was like, have I already shipped Hawk's stuff? But then I realized that I didn't, and I have the box laying around. So I'll DM you one of these days for the shipping. Yeah. Also, like the fucked up thing is that in the middle of me shipping out stuff, Discord changed the handle thing. So like at least 25 people I had to track down, like months of chatting before the actual group I happened, so that I can remember which name was connected to which username. It was a real pain in the butt. Yeah, it is miserable. And also making like customs document by hand all the time is god damn. I mean, moving forward, I'll move, like at this point the order queue on my server serves only as an indicator of what PCBs people want and where do they want them, so that they can source and like have X amount of HHKB PCBs in NA, X amount of Real Force in Southeast Asia. Like at this point, the order queue is more of a market research queue, to be quite honest. And then whatever ordering system what is it called? Whatever ordering system the vendor actually uses, then they will use it. Yeah, whoever doesn't have a role. I actually cleaned up some roles on my server, so we can take a look here. So in the order queue, there are some people with the stream role. There are those of you that have like the round 2 in quotation mark is basically those I need to either ship out or that are in transit and I need confirmation from the recipient um, to actually like tell me that the board actually arrived. So like round 2, if you have the round 2, I either have to DM you for the shipping or it's already in transit. I remove the role only when I have confirmation from the client that the board actually arrived safe and sound. So basically, from when I said the queue is closed, everything downwards is market research at this point. Because at some point I'll send out a DM saying, hey, so big announcement, we have vendors. Based on your region, go to this place or go to this other place. The order queue is closed, so place your orders with whoever vendor you're gonna end up going with, you know. But I wanna announce it properly, like the fact that the order queue is not actually a queue anymore and the vendor system is actually in place when I have agreements with the vendors to do that. Let me check back because I've seen some messages. Someone asked if there's a PCB template available to help us design your own. You can pick up the ones on my GitHub. They're basically all the same. They have some hardware variation, and also the newer revisions will have a different power delivery, will have different MCUs, a different analog front end, but if you just want to do a one-off or whatever, it's fine. I think I catched up with stream, with chat. I guess I can tease the FC 980. Add clone. While it clones, I'm gonna go grab some water real quick.
Hello there. Hello there.
Thank you, Lamp KB, for the follow. Okay, so current stage of the 980. Wiring is done. I need to check the position of this screw, so the plate grounding screw, and this one, because every single plate that there is available online is fucked up and it's not correct. The spacing is not correct, the layout is not correct, so I gotta wait for the actual unit. But this is a preview, and we have all the multi-layout support in one model, simply for ease of transport. And we have RGB LEDs for the indicators that are addressable. I've shared a video in Conical, I think. The layout options are actually available on Notion. Does it actually open? Of course it doesn't. So if you check on my guides, I think it is. You mean the one on Discord? Sorry, not Discord. Well, Twitch? Probably. Yes, probably it's broken. Here on Twitch. I gotta check that. Or where is it? Channel. Let me find it. Or where is it? Channel. Instagram. Donos. Streamlabs. Fuck. Oh, you mean the Burr one? I gotta change that. Edit. How can I edit this? Edit panels. Okay, I gotta check how to donate here. I mean, I guess the PayPal should be good. I gotta check because I don't even remember. Because the weird thing with PayPal is that everything that goes through it with like a portable link, it goes through as goods and service. So it's super weird. Like you can't put out a link for like friends and family stuff or anything else. It defaults automatically to that, and it and it takes out the tax all the time. I mean, I'll probably end up removing the dono button. But at the end of the day, either you directly send to the email, which usually what people did was when they ordered the PCBs, they added a small tip if they wanted to. So yeah, what I will do is or can I create PayPal FNF payment link? Is there such thing? No. Yeah, so I think I'll just remove this. And leave it there. Anyway, let's say if I can find the layout thing. There we go. So there's now a very rough and totally not complete project status. So some of them are actually in the works. So for example, this one needs to be updated because the group by is actually running. For the EC 980, so this is the current layout support. So split backspace, ISO, split left shift, caps, stepped caps, sassy ass numpad configurations, then OEM, alternative 6U, 7U that uses 1.25 because it's sus, 7U that uses 1.5 and then 1U, a Sorda JIS, doesn't really follow the correct 1.5, 1U, 1.5, 1.5, 2.5 pattern, because the bottom row here is fucked up because it's not the complete bottom row. Then we have Fun and Memes 10U and 13U. This is the current layout support. For the indicators, again, I have RGBs. Search from damn, I can't use the from formula when I'm in stream mode. So from Superlot has video. So it's this one that of course is not correctly showing up. Let me see if I can open this somewhere. Okay. So this is the early test of the indicators. I only have 2 LEDs, but this is basically a simulation of enabling and disabling the indicators individually. They have a common brightness and you can have effects on all the indicators. So you can have them in a fixed color, or they can have like RGB effects. So here I'm disabling and enabling them. Here I'm changing the behavior, the pattern. Here I'm doing a fixed color, and here I'm changing the brightness. So nothing really crazy about it, apart from the fact that we have the effects. Also because like the LED opening is very limited, so we can't really use that in any funny way beyond actually indicating the status. Yeah, for the donation link, that at the end of the day, that went through Streamlabs. That was hooking up with the old API to PayPal through the PayPal.me domain, the one where we have the QR code. Because the idea was to basically have it hooked up and the what is it called? The like the text to speech with the funny meme. let's see if maybe let's see if this link actually works. Oh yeah, no, you know why? Because I've changed name from Sipulot to Sipulot KB for no fucking reason. That's why it's happening. So, okay, so let me rechange the image. Okay, so now it should be working. I'm re-uploading the panel. I think it should now. Oh my god, what the fuck is that framing, man? Dude, the framing is ass. What the hell? Let's try with this one. No, it really doesn't like it. I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's just a picture. That's not actually usable because the way the plate is different in the height and a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain because then I would have like a bazillion of FC660 that I could like buy and then resell with the EC kit. That was actually an idea. Harvest MX boards to make them EC. That was actually an idea. It is what it is. I'm checking out if there's something. I mean, it's a bit of a pain though. Like at that point, we can just make the most bare-bone metal case and roll with it. Like we can make or Sho can make like the most basic 980C case that we can get, basically. Like, once you start to hack into the plastics and all of that, it then becomes like a real pain in the ass to actually do it. And the experience that you're gonna get is inconsistent from one case to the other anyway. So, like, yeah, but I mean, like, a random dude that wants to have a 980, like, the only way is either buy a board or, like, get the PCB when it's out and the case from Sho whenever he does that, you know? I think there's really nothing more to check out. The build is done. I don't know when the stainless steel mirror finish will be completed, but I think I'm gonna build it with these no keycaps until I have something better to use for that. For the weighting, I'm actually inclined to use the 30 grams for that one. I feel like it will be actually an interesting match for my like thought design. So yeah, I guess we can start to search for someone to raid in the hopes that we actually have someone that is streaming keyboards. Because the other day, stream was pretty much dead. Okay, there's one guy that I remember distinctly. He's a dude that works in Japan. Oh, the text-to-speech actually works. So the bot is not dead. What the fuck? Thank you for the donation. Okay, so now I'm even more confused. The text-to-speech is bound to the bot, but the bot is not responding in chat. Is it? No. What is going on? I think I need to swap out the bot. It makes no sense. What the hell? Anyway, so we have a candidate. So one guy is this dude that makes woodwork and woodblock prints in Japan. He's a super interesting dude. But let's see if we have keyboards first. Keyboards. Keyboard. Literally no one apart from Alex. Wow. Wow. I mean, if you guys have some suggestions, feel free to drop them in chat. If not, we will just end this one once again. Unless you guys want to jump over and watch an Arc 60 build stream. I'll leave you this one to the public. Okay, no replies from the public, so I guess we're gonna just end this here. So once again, thank you everyone who joined for this admittedly longer than expected build stream. We are still in the like 3.5/4-ish hours of stream, pretty much as the last time. So the next planned streams, and by planned I mean that I know I'll need to make, but I don't have a right schedule for it yet, are the Alveos that I have finally back with me, and we are waiting for the stainless steel plate with the inserts that Densos is running right now, so that once we complete the build of that, the board is done, will never be touched again. And after that, we will have hopefully the stainless steel mirror finish Sho HG. For other boards, unless someone decides to gift anything, all the projects that I have in the works for like vendor related stuff are still in R&D and stuff, so I don't even think we can show stuff yet. So yeah, for sure Alveos and the stainless steel mirror. Alright, so once again, thank you everyone who joined, and see you next time. Bye bye!